Hello people, another episode of The World is Burning. Just released a video about the UK housing market, so I figured I'd do another one about the US as well. Let's not leave the US people out, seeing as though most of my subscribers are from there. Yep, the housing market isn't looking too great. It looks like prices are still going up. Now, the 30-year fixed rate sits at 6.69, so I don't think a lot of people want to be locking in for 30 years at 6.69. And as you can see, it did get as high as 7.79 in October. So it's slightly come down, but the house prices are still going up. Like, prices are still going up. And when they reduce these rates, there's been a lot of people sitting on the sidelines. They're going to jump in as well. And will they remain lower? The forecast here. With many homeowners locked in at low interest rates or unwilling to sell due to high home prices, demand continues to outpace the housing supply and will likely for a while. And I think this is the real key to the story here. So many people were locked in on really cheap mortgages, so they got a lot more house for the mortgage rate. And they just don't want to leave that because they'll be getting a lesser quality house or a not as good quality house for the rates that I'd have to lock in for. We're now going to see Senator Elizabeth Warren and other people are now starting to push the Fed to start cutting these rates. This will come, and when it actually does come, there will be a bit of a tsunami of people who have been sitting on the sidelines who are going to be jumping into the market. That's going to send prices even higher. So yeah, guys, it's not looking great out there. It's not looking great for house prices. We're going to see what the house market is looking like from the people of TikTok. Let's get into it.
Some housing market predictions. I'm going to give you three. This is the first one. This is called the soft landing. All right, so let's go over the five metrics that are on this graph. You've got demand for mortgages in brown right there. You've got affordability, overall affordability in blue. You've got price in green. You've got supply in yellow, and you've got rates in black. So demand has come down while rates has gone up. Supply is still low, but creeping up a little bit. Affordability, obviously all-time highs, and price again high. So again, these dotted lines here are just future if a soft landing is to happen. And when I say soft landing, I mean in the housing market. So you're gonna see rates stay high a little bit, dip down next year, maintain, dip down, slowly over time. This is gonna cause supply to heal over time, so you're gonna see seasonality, up, down, back to a more average normal. So demand will follow, it'll come back a little bit as rates get cut, come back a little bit as rates get cut, and you'll see overall price doesn't really get affected. It's gonna be flatlined and then start this normal slow appreciation. Let's go to scenario number 2, and I've got significant job loss hitting right around Q1 of 2024. This will cause a supply spike. Demand will actually drop, even though they'll cut rates. It will affect price as supply goes up. And of course, affordability does come back, but the demand still stays low because, again, significant job loss, people can't buy homes.
See, I think that's
now more than likely they'll cut rates even more than this because that's an overcorrection. This is a hypothetical scenario to say we go through a deep recession. And it goes to show you that demand stays low even though rates come down with price. That's because people don't have the means to buy housing. They're just trying to figure shit out. And then we have this scenario where we're just stuck. Now, of course, if we are stuck, I see there'll be an increase in rates that will try to break us out of that cycle again. But like you see in all these scenarios, unless there's a significant impact to jobs, pricing isn't coming down significantly. And even if there is, it's still above the average level. Because on the supply and demand curve, supply can't get back to where it was in 2008. We have too many people, not enough housing, and we've been underbuilding since 2008. So this is your most likely scenario. This is what that Goldman Sachs prediction looked like for home values. And hopefully this gives you some more context as to how and why that happens. So slow moving improvements in affordability. Price not affected the same way you think. This to me is the most likely scenario to happen. And if you
Yeah, I can't imagine that the prices are going to drop dramatically. I think hard assets, the prices are going to stay the same. And look at Claudia in the comments, cheaper to rent. And that's what they want you to do, the people at the World Economic Forum and those guys. They want you to rent everything. Leave me a comment. What's your prediction, guys?
Here are the reasons why the real estate market will crash in 2024.
We don't have enough Americans that can actually afford housing right now. As of Q2 of 2023, the U.S. credit card debt has surpassed $1.03 trillion.
Spitting
And
facts.
this amassing credit card debt is preventing approximately 20% of Americans from being able to even qualify for a loan. The reason being is because they have to be concerned with their DTI, their debt to income ratio.
Yep.
Builders have created a massive surplus of spec home inventory. Airbnbs have become a problem. Occupancy rates are at an all-time low and people's equity is dropping. So a recession, concurrent job loss, affordability crises, massive credit card debt, all of this is going to be the gasoline that starts the dumpster fire. So this recession is going to accelerate the housing market crash by creating a lack of liquidity, which is going to stimulate a lot of adverse credit events.
Yeah, I just don't. I personally don't see the prices coming down. Leave me a comment, guys. Do you think the prices are going to come down? I know people are going to start losing the jobs. I've been covering the layoffs quite heavily here, and the freezing hires, so the jobs aren't there for people to buy these houses. But I just can't see the prices coming down for some reason.
You're going to have a real estate boom in 2024, starting January 3rd to August 30th. That is going to be when the most houses are sold in 2024. We may not sell another damn house.
This comment's funny. This is obviously a realtor gonna. Why is it only realtors saying it's time to buy? I've noticed that it's always the realtors who are like, "Oh, don't worry, now's the time to buy."
The Federal Reserve has already talked about reducing the interest rate 6 times next year. I don't care who the current sitting president is, the housing market, inflation, the cost of doing business, they are going to do everything that they can to get the perception that those things are under control. The reason that I say August the 30th is because September, October, you are going to see this onslaught of political advertisements. And anytime that you have all of that going into people's mind, the uncertainty makes them very nervous. And I think that people just typically in an election cycle are traditionally very slow. If you're thinking about selling your house in 2024, you need to get that house on the market sooner rather than later.
This guy here, I'm never selling my 2.7. So this guy's hooked into a 2.7 30-year mortgage, I'm assuming. Why would he ever sell that home?
If you're trying to buy a house in 2024 and you're preparing right now, you need to know about this. And if you don't know me, I'm Fiona the lender. I've helped people buy a house for like 8 years now. Okay, so I'm sure you've all seen that the headlines are now.
All right, you guys want housing market predictions for 2024? I got 2 words for you. Sideways market. What does that mean for you? Let me explain. The first point we're going to look at is low levels of inventory, which means it's still technically a seller's market, as much as that's hard to believe. Takeaway number 2, high mortgage rates are still going to destroy demand for home buyers, putting them on the sidelines. Remember, these people still want to buy, they just can't afford it. And as soon as any affordability is returned to the market, they're coming back in. So that's pent-up demand. Which leads to takeaway number 3. If rates drop in 2024, like we think they are, how much is uncertain, then we could see a huge spike in sales because sellers are going to come off the sidelines just like buyers are. But this is the main question everyone wants to know. Will home prices go down? The answer? Probably not.
Yeah,
Most people see, like I said before, a sideways market with home prices rising maybe 3 or 4%, maybe 0. As we try to do what? Build back the supply of homes for sale. Because there are simply not enough of them. In fact, some experts even believe we could easily absorb a doubling of housing inventory without seeing major negative effects to price. I believe you'll see inventory slowly creep up and rates slowly creep down as we bring back that balance. But again, prices just kind of slowly, gradually go up and affordability comes back through interest rates. Because interest rates dictate affordability way more than price for most people. Builders know this, that's why they're offering all those crazy incentives. And you best believe during an election year next year, there's going to be a lot of outside influencers trying to make things look a little bit better. So watch out for rates to get cut. Remember those 2 words, sideways market, because that's most likely what you're going to see 2024 and beyond.
Yeah, I kind of agree with this guy.
The problem in 2008 is that so many people were foreclosed on because of bad loans and adjustable rate mortgages that the supply rose, which crashed the market. If we think people are going to go into foreclosure because the economy's bad, here's one thing to keep in mind. 62% of Americans who have a mortgage right now, this is a significant number, 62% of Americans with a mortgage has a 4% interest rate or lower. And most people purchased their home from 2020 and earlier, meaning their home purchase was probably $200,000 or $300,000. Their mortgage payment is probably $1,500, which is less than what the average 20-something is paying for a 1-bedroom apartment in the city. of $2,200.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
someone cannot afford, if they fall on hard times, $1,500 payment, they have nowhere to go. These aren't people like back in the day. If your payment was $3,000 and you could rent for $1,200, people were bailing because they had an out. They are in the best position. And another stat is 40% of homeowners don't have a mortgage. They just have their property tax and homeowners insurance. So the foreclosures don't look like it's coming. Will short-term rentals start selling off? In certain places, but a lot of places are booming with the short-term rentals, so that doesn't seem to be the problem. Institutional investors we're still keeping our eye on, and even today we all know how difficult it is to get a loan. So I would prepare yourself for 2024, pay off your debt, save money, and work on that down payment. So if you want to buy a house, you can wait for that interest rate to come down and you can hop in the market.
Yep, this guy's spitting facts. Let's look at some of these comments here, people. Inflation has killed everybody's nest egg. Banks require a larger down payment, so the dream of being a homeowner is disappearing. It's getting harder and harder, guys, to save money, have a big old nest egg that you can throw into a deposit. Bought my condo in 2021 and my mortgage is $1,050 a month. My interest rate is 2.75. Have a 6-month emergency fund. I'm good. Who drank all the wine? Congratulations, you've done it right.
Dave Ramsey shares his timely strategy for buying a house today, which I agree with, but it closes the door on so many Americans. So what do? First of all, he wants you to be debt-free, which I agree with, and 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved. Then, after the average house was $260,000, he wants you to put down ideally 20%. So that would be $52,000. There was a 4% interest rate back in 2019, and he wants you to do a 15-year fixed rate, which is very smart, but more doable back then. That would be $1,539, and about $350 for property taxes and homeowner insurance would put your payment out the door at $1,900. So what would you need to earn as a family to qualify for this home using Dave Ramsey's method? $60,000. What was the median household income in 2019? $68,000. So most people, if they worked hard and saved up their $52K, they could qualify if they were debt-free. Now let's move to 2024.
And that's only 2019, people. That's like not too long ago.
Is $84,000. At a 7% interest rate, puts your payment at $3,020, $600 for property taxes and insurance. Puts you at $3,600. So what do you need to qualify for a $3,600 monthly payment? $110,000. What's the median household income in 2024, or at least late 2023? $85,000. So the question becomes, is it financially irresponsible for most Americans to buy a house these days? Or do we need to change the method? Or are we all agreeing collectively and sadly that buying a house has now become a luxury? Ramsey shares his...
Yeah, look in the comments. Buying a house has become a luxury. Even apartment living is astronomical. I make $1,500 a month. My 3-bedroom apartment is $1,600. I have to have 2. It's outrageous. She has to have 2 jobs, this girl. This one here from Guy. Buy a starter home, they say, while ignoring all the cheaper homes got bought and flipped for profits. There are no starter homes anymore. This guy's hit the nail on the head here. We'll do one more, then get out, guys.
Everyone who buys a house between basically December 1st and February 28th, you're going to look at those people the same way you looked at people who bought houses at the beginning of COVID. You're going to look back and be like, damn it. Why wasn't I that smart? Why was I so scared? What was I thinking again? You're going to look back with tons of regret, because I believe anybody who buys a house right now is going to get the best deal you're going to see in years. There's no competition. And the second that these rates drop, you're going to see millions of buyers jump onto the market, and housing prices will never be the same.
Yeah, I kind of agree with this, but the problem is, you're saying you're going to kick yourself. A lot of people just don't have the funds to do it. They want to do it, they just can't do it. Look at some of the comments on some of my previous videos here, guys. Bob Sacamanda. I rented a place for 6 years, and in that time my rent more than doubled, yet my pay only went up by 30%. I moved out when my rent and bills went to 80% of my take-home pay. I will never get ahead at that rate. I will never rent again. 100%, you're never going to get ahead if 80% of your take-home pay is just going to bills. This one here, Pi. This is why I live with family until they die and I inherit this for the place. Hopefully I get a trust, but I think they'll be able to leave it to me or just make me an owner without exceeding the 40 million lifetime gift max. The trust would be preferred. I can get away with $1,800 a year in a house that would cost $2,800 a month. Otherwise, it's a savings of $31,000 per year. I'll probably rent it out $3,100 a month someday and live in a 600 SF shack I'll inherit on a different property. Yeah, this guy's kind of, at least he's playing the long game. He's thinking of things long. It's basically a newer generation of people that have had the chance to buy a home and they blew it. I mean, there's no good positive news here, guys. $1,500 increase in 2 years, that's insane. Yes, Nature Nerd 1000, you are 100% correct. $1,500 increase in 2 years is absolutely insane. Look at this one. This is the final one, then we'll get out, guys. Timothy Wright, 7382. This is the perfect opportunity for me as a homeowner to move out, rent my house, probably go travel the world for a while. It's cheaper. And that's what a lot of people are thinking these days. They're trying to think of other ways to live. It's like, yeah, I have this house. I have something that I can do. I'm going to rent it out and I'm just going to move on and try and make money on that. All I'd say is it's a lot easier said than done renting houses out. You don't want to be in a situation where your tenants aren't paying and then you potentially could lose your house. But yeah, guys, leave me a comment. What's your thoughts on the US housing market? Love to hear from you guys. If you're in the US, let me know what state you're in and how you're finding it there. What's the average house price? Can you find a house? And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.